Story. I think if I tell my story, I have to start with that God, Baba, has given us each our unique gift, and it appears with me as visual. And I have to start with preschool because I started, I was in the daisies, a field of daisies, and I stood there and it said, I'm back on earth again. I wonder what I have to do this time. And to the left of me, there came a screen, and I had never seen an outdoor movie. And it had marriage, children, and it had I was going to be a nurse. And I thought that all children found out that way. So when people said, what are you going to be, or what do you want to be? I said, I'm going to be a nurse. So that was the beginning of my feeling of knowing I'm visual, very visual. And then we go right to Baba then. Age 7, my mother, father, my 2 sisters and I went to New York City. And we were in the apartment building, I believe it was Kitty Davis' apartment. Is that correct? Okay. Ivy Deuce's apartment? Okay. We were taken to the room where Baba was, and I'm going to close my eyes because I can see better. We came into the room, and everything and everyone disappeared. And all there was this incredible protective light. It was pink, it was beautiful, and they put me up with Baba. I was kind of a tiny person then. I was only 7. And I just knew, Baba put into my mind, I'm sure, because I was a child, I watched the Lone Ranger at the neighbor's house. And what I got within my mind, I'm sure, came from Baba. If anyone were to shoot me with a gun, Baba could stop the bullet. And it was so incredible because the Lone Ranger was my hero. And here there's a bigger hero than the Lone Ranger. And I knew this total, complete, absolute protection. I have no idea what Baba said. I thought he spoke. I don't know, many times that happens. But this complete, absolute circle of protection. I don't remember leaving, I don't remember going home, I don't remember anything. And that was the time when I met Baba the first time. I say the first time because my sister and my mother and my other sister went to New York City. I was 11. Just came back out of foster care just to come to Albany, and I was rebellious, and I was kind of mad at Baba because I was like, well, all this confusion, all this, our family separated and everything, so I said, I'm not going, and I didn't. So they told me I had to go to my Aunt Rosemary's. Yes. So I walked down in the streets of Albany, and as I'm walking, and I don't know exactly what spot, all of a sudden, everything disappeared, and there was that complete, absolute protection and the beautiful light. And it came into my mind, wow, Baba had come to me. He wasn't mad at me after all, that I was upset with him. He came to me. And I thought I realized how incredible that was later. Maybe not at that time. I thought, that's pretty cool. He absolutely came. So that was another visual, which I happen to be the best at, I guess. And then I want to go to a little story about a psychic woman that I met. And actually, Ann met her after and liked her. She was kind of scattered, very scattered, I should say, with lots of things all over her room and all over her table when you came in. And I walked in the first time by myself, and she says, oh, I know what you want. And she starts pushing things off of this wooden kitchen table. And carved in was all kinds of things carved into this table. I don't know if the kids did or who. But honest, she's right there's yours. B-A-B-A in capital letters. It's Baba. Then she went further. She says, wait, just a minute, I'll be right back. Off she disappeared, and I'm standing there looking at this table. There's Baba. She came back with a little plaque. It was about this big. And on it was a little mouse looking up at the sun. It said, God is love. She said, that's what you came for. I said, okay, thank you. That was the end of, end of my reading. That was good. So that was another, and Anne went to her after and enjoyed her too. At the Maher Center, and Anne, you were there too, and Diane was there, our friend Diane. What is it called, the bungalow? There were 3 rooms in it. Okay. I was in the last room at the end, and I laid down, and I did hear that South Carolina and the South have a lot of like little earthquakes and things. You know, up north we don't have as many things like that, so the bottom of my bed is shaking. I thought, oh my, that's an earthquake, I guess. I turned my light on, stopped. So I turned the light off and laid back down again, shaking at the bottom of the bed. I thought, wow, this is kind of weird. I turned the light back on, it stopped. So the 3rd time I did this, Baba's picture was up right across from the bed. And all of a sudden that picture just went like all different people were there. And I couldn't move. I was laying and I couldn't move. And it was so incredible, and the light was coming all around. And this picture kept making different people, showing me through history, I guess. I don't know. I don't know who the people were. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm actually dying, and it's okay, but I just want to let Anne know and to tell Jack, because I want him to know I'm fine, I'm dying, but I died peacefully and beautifully there with Baba, right with me. But then it stopped, and I was able to get up. I woke Anne up. I know I woke you both up, because I was kind of like between excited, scared, and nervous. I can't explain it, but it was like, wow, well, I guess I didn't die. And the other 2 people I told were Bob and Jane Brown, because they were there a lot then. They were out on the cart and doing, it was one, I think they had the golf cart. And I told them, and it was only 2, I think, at that time, but I told about that experience. But it was rather incredible, once again, visual. And it came to me afterwards, I realized, because then when I go in the lagoon cabin, Baba's picture would start doing that. So then I got the exact picture at home, and that's my way of meditating, I found. Baba was trying to tell me, that's your way. Just look at me and I'll just change, and then I'll have the color come and that light around you, and you'll remember to get back in the balance a little better. So that apparently was the visual. Bed shaking, really, yes. Just a minute. I have to have notes because I'm older too. I was on my own for 5 years with 5 kids before Jack and I met, and it was kind of just a little bit stressful. I was working as an LPN, and I was also working as a waitress, and I found out I was considered on the below poverty level, which I didn't know. I thought we were doing great. I had no idea. But one day I was really stressed, and I was driving home, and first I saw it was a pure white goat. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Then there came a pure white dog, and they were real. I believe they were real. They're on the road. I thought, what are these animals doing in the road? The 3rd animal was a beautiful, pure white horse. I thought, wow, this is really cool. Then I look up, and there's a rainbow. I thought, wow, how many, so you're okay. Everything's fine, everything will be cool. So that was another, I believe the animals were real. I hadn't seen the horse before or the dog. I had seen goats down the street, but those 3 came within a few moments of each other, and I thought, my goodness, this is a lot. I didn't know about that white then. I was pretty busy bringing up kids. Another one I want to share with you is our mother. I was reading the discourses, and I opened it up, and it comes to my head, you will take your mother. I said, I don't think so. My mother and I didn't get along that great. Our mother has bipolar disorder. Not that I didn't love her. It's just I thought I couldn't do that. Plus I'm working. Then I opened the book up again. I'm arguing with Baba, really. said, you will take your mother. And I said, once again, that just can't happen. I just can't do this. So the third time I opened it up, and it said it again. I closed the book. I thought, I'm not reading discourses right now. Anne called, and I heard myself say, we could take Mother. And I thought, Anne, she was totally shocked, but I was totally shocked. And Jack said, that's cool. We have to make the door bigger, as if it was nothing, to get her chair through. So we did take Mother for the last year of her life, last 10 months it was. And it was good we did, because even though Mother knew Baba so closely, she was afraid of dying. And because when I was 22, I was in a coma for 5 days and had a near-death experience, and know everything is just beautiful and wonderful, and they told me it wasn't time for me yet. She wanted me to share that story several times with her. And so she was with us the last 10 months, and Anne would come up and read to her. Anne was good at reading to Mother and entertaining her that way, and I was better with diapers and things. And my mother was not easy. My mother, she would say things, and she was blind at the time, but let me tell you, she knew what was going on. And she would say things, and she would swear she hadn't said them as soon as Jack stood there. So he says, Mother, I heard you say that. I did not. And she was quite difficult. She called me a lot of names, and I thought it was the hardest job I had ever done in my entire nursing career of 43 years. It was the hardest 10 months. I took off from work. We had, Jack set me up baby monitors all over the house. He even put in a above ground pool for me so I could exercise and move around a little. And Mother was very, very psychic, and very, also with bipolar, was very difficult. You could sort through those. Bipolar, psychic, normal, quote unquote. We had to do this. Once I fell off the horse once, and I came in, I didn't say a word, and she said, I just had a dream. You fell off the horse, but you're okay. Yes, Mother, I fell off the horse. So she shared her Baba experiences. I also had to entertain the Queen of England and all the court, the imaginary ones, but to her they were real. And finally her mother and father, everyone did. They kept sending more people each day, I noticed. They needed a lot to have Mother pass over, and so they kept sending more people for her. And that's the truth, she really did. And finally, when it was time for her to go, she went very peacefully. The cat got up on her tummy, and he purred, and Jane and Bob Brown's music was playing. And I said 2 or 3 times, do you want me to call the hospital, or do you want to stay? She wanted to be right there. I said, you're dying. I said, okay. And she was wonderful. And as soon as she passed, the cat got off her lap, and he passed on a month to the day. So that was the cat and her. And also there's another experience with a little girl that Jack's brother and sister-in-law had adopted from Korea. I don't even know where this fits in with anything, but Baba does. When she was 3 years old, she came over. She had had an experience and told her mother that she was with her in another life, and her mother freaked out, which a lot of people do. With us, it's perfectly normal. And then when she came, I had the 3 little Baba Discourses book. They were in the blue, the original kind, the old ones. And she wanted volume 1, the 3-year-old. And she wanted her mother to read that to her. And her mother had no idea whatsoever what it was about. And she took it home, but she read it to her. I have no idea to this day, why, but she read that. And these are little interesting things along the way. And our son Vern came home from the Army, and he was in pretty bad condition. He was drinking a lot. He actually was having a terrible time adjusting from 23 years in the Army. We went to the hospital in Albany, and we were going for rehab. He was going to sign himself in for rehab. But he, on the way, got physically ill and said, Mom, take this down, and I'm going to faint. We got him there just in time before he went into would have been a coma. his magnesium and his potassium were so low, it was critically low. But why I want to say this is the doctor was from India. So as he was taking care of Vernon, I thought, well, you know what? I know he's from India. I'm just going to ask him. He probably has no idea who Baba is, but I'm going to ask him anyway. So I said, did you ever hear of Meher Baba? He says, well, yes. He says, my mother was in the ashram in India visiting him. And he said, when you're done, we're done here, when I take care of your son, we'll go in, I'll show you on the computer. I thought, wow, this is really interesting too. So I did go in, he indeed did show me his mother, and it was very precious. So I knew that Vern was in great hands then, because this doctor appeared. These are not coincidences, they are messages. I think Bob says, I'm still here in charge.
Did he give you the name of his mother by chance?
He did, but I wrote it down somewhere.
Told me and I wrote it down.
I think I told, yeah, I think I did. And I just think that there are so many things, those are just some of the little incidences, that Baba gives us, each one of us, what we're supposed to see, what we're supposed to feel, what we're supposed to know, what we're supposed to do in this life. And Jack has, since he's come into our family, 37 years ago, he inherited me and 5 kids, and then his son came with us. He has his own stories. Now, I never mentioned Baba to him. I don't do that. I think it's time, when the person is ready. And one time he says to me, I've noticed something. And I said, what is that? He said, there's an awful lot more pictures of that man, Baba, than there is of me. And I said, yes, you're right. And when it was time, we moved forward in that. But he too has those stories. And Diane is another friend of ours who's now with Baba. And she, I did a speech on Baba in my speech class, and I showed a film, actually.
You're the one she learned about Baba.
Right, but it was just interesting, and she said, well, I mentioned I was going to the center with Ann, and was that my first time? It was, wasn't it? Yeah. And she said something about, well, she'd want to go, and I said, well, I don't know, I have to ask Ann. I don't know if they have what rules are.
I think she said a psychic told her she needed
Yeah,
to
go
to
the
the
ocean.
with trees.
Yeah. So I said, well, you're going to have to ask Ann. So Ann goes, well, I don't know what she said, but poor Diane, she wasn't really like, it wasn't like we said something wonderful, like, come along, We went, you'll have to ask Diane. But she came, and she's been, ever since then, very devoted to Baba and very,
She had some interesting.
she's also had wonderful stories. There are so many. Now, I didn't know if you wanted me to read the poem to end this, if you want me
That
to.
nice poem that they read, it was
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Actually, it's very emotional when I read it to myself. This is called Meeting Baba. Speak louder. Okay. I was 7. Do I remember? Oh yes, forever. All time ceased. I walked into a great circle of light and complete protection. No one, no thing, no sound, only the essence and the voice of the silent one. How could that be? What did he say? Where was I? Enclosed in light where no harm could penetrate. No harm. I was lifted up. The circle was beyond where I could sense. Great love light blinded me with the enormity of this happening. I was 7. Do I now understand how incredible this event on eternity's clock? Have problems vanished? No. Have challenges eluded me? No. Do I cry? Yes. Tears of joy, fear, love, hope for less sensitive humanity. Have I been hurt? Yes. Deeply by many people. Am I vulnerable? Oh yes, vulnerable to the pain my physically and mentally fragile family have endured. Vulnerable to the horror of man harming man, and to anger and unkindness in our world. Why have I been so blessed? I have this knowing. I have love. I am so small. He is so great. What can I give? The only gift worth sharing. That in all the turmoil, misunderstandings, confusions, mistakes, wars, tumult, there is hope. There is love. How can I be so brazen? I have a responsibility because I glimpsed God, the Lord Mayher. He is real. I sat on the lap of God. Jai Baba.